and I'm going to talk about The Electric State, the film that I keep forgetting I have watched. So, so this is okay. So this is based on a book. It's not quite a graphic novel, but it is a book that's mostly pictorial. So I've seen shots of the book, and it's just kind of like it's pictures of stuff, and then you have like almost like poems written on each page. So it's also like art pieces, but telling the story. And the basic story is the same as in the film, in that the what happens is that you've had this is set in an alternative 90s, where a while back you had an AI war essentially. This is coming up a lot. It's coming up a lot. It was Mission Impossible is in this. You had an AI war where essentially AI became so sentient, and people and decided that, look, we don't want to do all your dirty jobs anymore. We want to actually have some rights. And they ended up being this war in America between the robots essentially and the humans. And what's ended up is this whole thing where the robots have they've garnered a peace deal where they're allowed to stay in this particular area. This particular area that's called something like the Shadow Zone or the Barren Land, or something like that. One of those things. One of those things that you find a lot in these sort of genre pictures. They're in this area. It's all deserty. It's in the middle of the country, and humans are not allowed to go in. Robots are not allowed to come out. Just stay like that, and everybody will be okay. We will all be okay as long as you stay in your certain places. And into this, you have Millie Bobby Brown plays a character who, at the beginning of the film, you see her and you meet her brother, and her brother is kind of like one of these child geniuses. Is like he's a prodigy. He's at the age of 12, they taken him to MIT, that kind of thing. Then later on in the film, there's a jump, and you find out that she's now on her own. She's going in between foster families. Her family are dead because her parents are gone, and a robot shows up that she begins to think is her brother, which she doesn't know exactly how this happens, but this robot seems to exhibit everything that says, I'm your brother. He doesn't speak or anything like that. And she, through things, finds a way to try and get to the plot essentially leads her to go meet up with Chris Pratt, which means that they have to find a way to get into the robot area, because when they go into the robot area, they might find something that actually would say whether this is her brother or not. In the background, you have Stanley Tucci, who is playing like, he's playing like think of a tech mogul. Think of your Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos. That's who Stanley Tucci is playing. The guy who has this big, massive tech company that runs most of the world, that provided a lot of the stuff that meant that the humans actually didn't get overrun by the robots. So people see him as some sort of like savior because he's provided this thing, but is he really? And you have Giancarlo Esposito in there as a bounty hunter who is chasing down to try and catch Millie Bobby Brown, Chris Pratt, and this robot that seems to be her brother. The best thing about this film is the effects. The effects of this film are mind-boggling. Like, and when I say mind-boggling, it's not like a Jurassic Park war. It's like you look at it and you totally buy that humans are beside these robot things. But when you bear in mind that they are robots who are like essentially, Mr. Peanut, it's a brand in America of peanuts. One of the leader of the robots is a Mr. Peanut robot, and he looks practical. It looks like this was actually in the same space as the humans, and that for me, I cannot fault this film. And I kept looking and going, I can't see the joint. This looks real. This looks amazing. Which is where one of the biggest flaws was that they spent a lot of money on it. They spent $320 million on the film, and yes. Bearing in mind, this is a film that did not have a theatrical release. It went straight to Netflix, and it's reportedly spent $320 million on it. And I can see where the money went. It all went into the effects, and it went into the robots, and it went into making a world that you look at and you think, this looks amazing. I believe that this world exists. It didn't really go on the script or on the story or on anything. And it makes me want to read the original book, because apparently people praise the original book for having depth and having pathos and having all these sort of things in it. And this film is kind of like they tried to make a sort of mid-Amblin-y 1980s movie, kind of like E.T., but not as good. And so all the beats in the film, you kind of expect them. When they go and they're going to have even when they have the final big confrontation, it looks like it was just like, sub Ready Player One. And it's a shame, because there's some things in this that are good. I think with Millie Bobby Brown and with Chris Pratt, you had people who could have given you something that would have been a little bit better. But I feel like it's just almost so first base. It's like, okay, Chris Pratt, you're gonna be sub Star Lord. Okay, yeah, you're gonna say a couple of things. You're gonna be like let's do mercenary with a heart of gold who does a quip every 5 minutes, that kind of thing. And it's just kind of, and Millie Bobby Brown, you just be earnest. And it's a shame because I know a lot of people yelled about this film, and they essentially lambasted this film when it came out, and I really wanted it to be good. I really wanted it to be good. I think it's a bit like what Holly was saying about the Snow White movie. You wanted it to be good because some people were just being mean about it. And unfortunately, I think I have to say, at the very most, it's a 3, and it's just about there. It's great to look at, but not much else. And yeah, and it stars Anthony Mackie in a role that I didn't even realize it was him until they told you it was him. And I guess that's part of the reason why it cost 300, because I'm like, why do you spend all that money to get Anthony Mackie in a film and then make it totally unrecognizable that it's him? Especially as it's a voice role. But it's so yeah. There's a couple of it makes me a little bit worried for Avengers Doomsday, because this was directed by the Russo brothers, who did Avengers Endgame, and have gone back to do, and they haven't really had, I wouldn't say they've had a bona fide crowd pleasing hit since they did Avengers Endgame, but we'll see. So 3 stars for the Electric